Hi everybody. We watched Kase-San and Morning Glories, the OVA. It's just a 1-episode, 58-minute OVA.
Mm-hmm.
So, yay.
Wait, I thought we listened to What's a Story Morning Glory by Oasis. Oh god.
Gamb is on the wrong
I wrote
podcast.
notes for the wrong thing.
No!
Oh god.
Oh no.
Whatever will we do?
Oh no.
Yeah. Anyway,
Got
first
some good songs.
first things first, what do you guys think I thought of this episode thing?
I think you're gay as hell.
That's not a number.
I mean, am I wrong?
I mean, you're not wrong about me being gay as hell, but...
Anyway, I think you really like
You
it.
gonna say a number?
Like, no, I'm talking like 9, 10. I think you really fucking like it.
Okay. Gamb?
Yeah, I'll say probably like an 8. I think it's like... I'm trying to think of like the word. It's not guilty pleasure, because it's not like bad. But it's kind of like a... You just like it, because it's gay, and like, that's it. Like, and that's fine. It's kind of like a shut your brain off kind of thing.
Okay. Yeah, I gave this a 7.
There's not really much to think about.
I gave it a 7. But we'll get into why I gave it a 7 in a little bit. Let's do a summary. It should be a pretty short summary.
They're gay.
Yep. Here, I'll summarize it for you. There's lesbians. One's pastel. One's jock. The pastel one is innocent. The jock is dumb. The pastel one doesn't know what sex is. Oh my god, ha ha ha. Pastel gets invited to go to a school, but doesn't want to leave Jock alone. Then finds out the Jock is going to another school, and it gets sad, and Jock's like, I don't want to go to the school if it means leaving you. And Pastel's like, no, go to the school. And so Jock's like, okay, I'll go to the school. And then Pastel's like, wait, I want to come with you to the school. And that's it.
Yeah.
There we go. That, is a very basic summary of it, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, also Jock tries to kill Pastel by opening an airplane door while they're in midair.
That does not actually happen, but that
Pretty
is
sure
a joke
it does.
we had.
She literally
Stop.
just goes, hey, come with me. I need to show you something really cool while they're on a plane. And is just like, takes her to the fucking emergency exit door, and it's just like, look out here, and like makes her look out the window. It's like, is she gonna open the door?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we had some jokes going during this.
I don't know what you're talking about. That they are
We had to do
all
something to pass the time.
True.
But, so... The reason I gave this a 7, I think, is kind of interesting, right? And I think that... I know Gamb is going to disagree with me here. I
might not.
I wanted more. I wanted this to be, like, a full 12-episode, maybe even, like, 6-episode OVA, at the very least. Because I think the things that it was good at, and that I was, like, really interested in, didn't really get their chance to fully shine through in just 58 minutes.
No, I agree.
Okay. But I definitely think that, I mean, don't get me wrong, this is like a art is good, characters are cute, makes me happy, and I can just watch it type show.
Oh yeah, no, it's 100% turn your brain off and just go hee hee hee, they're gay. It's
but
great.
I think there's, right? And I think that, especially with this OVA, that's definitely a big part of how you can enjoy it. But I think that it's a lot more than that, too. And especially, like, on a rewatch. It sunk in a little bit more, right? Because prior to, I was, like, going into it, and I was talking to you about this beforehand. I was like, yeah, I just kind of want, like, a chill, like, turn my brain off. But, like, when I watched this, I realized it's, like, when I rewatched it, it's a pretty good character piece, actually. Like, the character writing, I was like, okay.
Parts.
In
others, there's no character writing.
I think.
Mm-hmm.
Well, here's the thing, right? And I think with this series, and once again, I think this is why it needs to be more than a 58-minute OVA, which there is a manga. I'm not positive how long the manga is. I need to read it. But, because I think you need those moments of, like, fluff for something like this to really work. If it's 100% just, like, here are things, we're in a relationship, but you never get the fluff, then the relationship just doesn't seem good, right? You need the fluff to be like, okay, here's, like, what makes it worth it. But I think...
the fluff is, it makes the substance actually good. The
Yes.
fluff is literally the rice in a dish. It is not the main meal, but without it, the meal is empty. It doesn't, it's not as good.
And I think the issue with it being only one OVA is that the fluff ends up taking up a very large portion.
Yes, which was my biggest problem. Well, second biggest problem.
I will say, rewatching it, I think, so, it's an interesting character piece. I should specifically say for the main character, for Yamada, because Kase, while, like, Kase is obviously an important character, isn't the main character. And
no, we don't actually get to see much of her own perspective.
Yeah,
and she doesn't get that developed. But I like her role in it, right? Because the whole thing, what I realized on a rewatch, because it's been a long time since I watched this, and the first time I watched it wasn't like, it was like with friend, and like I didn't really get to like pay as much attention. Like even though we were like talking and like making jokes during, it's like I got to pay attention to it more this time.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I like the idea a lot of Yamada being the stereotypical, hey,
Jock?
I have to be happy, positive, Yamada, not Kase.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
But Yamada being like, I have to be, like, I am the positive, happy, innocent character, right? And as the OVA goes on, though, I think what's interesting about her, specifically, is she feels the need to fill that role despite having thoughts that don't fill that role. And that's her biggest conflict, right? She has insecurities about herself, and which in turn make her have insecurities about her relationship. And she doesn't want to admit things that she wants, and she doesn't want to admit any sort of selfishness within the relationship, because that goes against, oh hey, I'm the positive, upbeat, happy, go get 'em type girl, right?
Yes, being selfish is not part of that.
Yeah, so she has like those like selfish desires that I think you have in any high school relationship. I mean, really in any relationship, you just learn how to deal with. Yeah, you just learn how to deal with them better. But in high school, it's like those feelings are much stronger. So it's like she has those, and it doesn't fit with her, and that makes her like kind of depressed, right? Like she thinks she shouldn't have them. And I think a big part of it too, like she has those insecurities about herself, and it's shown like Kase is like popular and good at sports and going to a school in Tokyo and like, all this stuff. So she feels like she needs to also be perfect, but she feels she can't be that. So the ending of this being her like finally like accepting like, no, I want to be a little bit selfish, like I think is good, right? I do wish we would have seen more before the relationship, because I have a feeling that the before the relationship was a lot of like, wow, I like Kase, and she's so cool and perfect, and if we got together, everything would be perfect. And then suddenly, like, it's not. You know what I mean? But I think as far as like character writing for like a little like romance, I think it's pretty solid for her. I wish we knew more about Kase, but as far as Yamada, I'm like, I want more. I want to delve into the feelings more, and that's the biggest issue I have.
So there are a few problems I have with it. Some are just personal, and they're not a slight against the OVA at
Uh-huh.
all. Some I feel are kind of more slight against the OVA. So on a personal level, I don't like the main character. I fucking hate that style of like pure innocent pastel style cutesy character. They didn't go overboard with it, which made me not hate her indefinitely, but like I was like, oh, so this is our main character. Great. And it was like, I personally made it harder for me to jump in, even though I wasn't really going to. And then it was like, the realization of like, the first few minutes, I'm like, oh, okay, this is cute. Like, oh, okay, this is what it is. And then it was like, I get it. They're lesbians in a relationship. Okay. And then it's like, oh, this is going to be the entire thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, okay, adjusting accordingly. And it's like, okay, moving from like character study to, well, not character, moving from like interpersonal drama to more character study mode. And it's like, okay, my other biggest problem is that there are moments in this that are really good. Like the moment with the bus, the moment at the end, and sort of the realization of accepting, like, yes, she wants to be selfish, and like, it's not just like she wants to be selfish, but like, this is a way that she feels she can be selfish. Like, this is the way that she can act out her selfishness in a way that fits her and is like an extension of herself. Like, you know, being selfish doesn't betray her in that sort of sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like the way that she's been thinking the entire time of like, if I act on these selfish thoughts, that I'm not being true to myself. But like, it's like, no, there is a way to basically act on these selfish thoughts while still being true to herself. And it's like, that was great. I like that stuff. The problem is, it's compared to like a lot of the other stuff in it, it's very bare bones. And there are a lot of scenes in this where it is just fluff and nothing else, and it's like, that's good that there's fluff in it, because like the entire thing is meant to be a fluffy piece.
Yeah.
But there's so much in it that it's like, it drowns out the rest of it for me, where it's like there are points where it's like I missed important details because I was just zoned out, because it's like there's been 5 minutes of nothing but like a scene that's going around in circles of like just them being cute, that was followed by like another 5-minute scene of them doing nothing but just being cute, with maybe like 1 or 2 lines of like character dialogue in there, and it's like, okay, no, wait, what was that? Okay, no, this is what's happening. Okay, so this is what we're doing now. It's like we're moving from high school to college, so we're moving on to this set drama now. Like this problem is now coming into this equation. These characters are going through this thing. Okay, cool. But it's like, I will say the jock isn't entirely one-dimensional. She is a character.
She is, yeah.
But she's like,
well, she's not
a step above a piece of cardboard.
Well,
like they have, like, whenever they make the wise decision to, because they don't. It seems like either they didn't want to focus on the two of them, or they didn't want to distract from the like main story of focusing on this one girl. So anytime that the jock gets any sort of characterization, it immediately follows or is followed by some sort of characterization from the main girl. Mm-hmm. So it's like, it's sort of like the extension of like, I get some characterization, meaning you can get a little bit as well, and then it's like, okay, now it's back to fluff.
Yeah,
it's like we gotta eat our vegetables before we can eat this ice cream sort of deal. But it's,
yeah,
I
definitely think this is more of like a character piece of Yamada.
Yeah, it absolutely
like
was.
I said, and I do agree, there is too much fluff for the length of time that it is.
Yeah, like when I say there's too much fluff, I don't mean like cut 90% of it out. I mean just like maybe cut 20% of it out.
Yeah.
Like just a little bit.
Like,
it's
oh, sorry,
not
go ahead.
massive.
Yeah, I also wish that the college plot maybe would have come up a little bit sooner in the OVA, because it doesn't come up until
it does kind of feel
the
rushed.
end. Yeah,
Mhm.
and it's like that's the biggest conflict. Like,
Yeah.
like there's all of these little moments, like of Yamada being like, oh, I'm not good enough, or oh, like she's so perfect, or like, oh, like I am not
Yeah.
attractive, or like, oh, whatever.
I mean, my biggest thing is those
Mhm.
conflicts could have been bigger, but they lasted all of like half a day. So
well,
Yeah,
they kind of
it was
they
kind of
lasted,
like, oh no, I don't like my boobs. Goes to sleep the next day at the aquarium. She's sad. Gets it all worked out. They play in the ocean. Everything's good. That's it. It's like
Yeah.
there's more to it. That doesn't just go away.
Yeah, well, I think that conflict really the only one that kind of got resolved right away, right? I think the rest kind of built.
Well, there was.
I don't know if built is the right word, because it kind of feels more like it was shelved. Like, hey, I'm thinking this. This is something like I'll maybe think about this a little more, and then it's like, okay, this has got to be shelved because I'm doing this now, and then it's like, okay, now we're getting back to it. Like, but it's like it really feels like, especially the whole college thing. It was like, okay, now we're having the classic college problem of high school sweethearts.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I'm going to a different college, but I want to be with you. What do we do?
Yeah.
And it felt like it didn't feel like that was like something that was like sort of built up within the characters. It sort of felt like, well, they have to go through this because this is the setting that they're in, and like they're in a relationship, so it's like they kind of have to go through this problem.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, if they're showing the end of college, then like the end of high school, then it's like, then they kind of have to show this. So it more felt like, okay, we have to go through this, so we're just gonna rush through this and like kind of not focus on the problem itself, but more basically tie the problem and the solution of it to just all the other sort of bits of character writing that we've had throughout the OVA of like, okay, well, her insecurities about Jock's friends kind of taking her away from her, and like her worries about, well, if she goes to another school, someone will be with her, and it's like, if she goes away, we won't be together anymore. It's like, okay, tie that together, and it's like, okay, then in the end, because it's a fluffy thing, that means they're gonna get together.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it just means they're gonna be together.
Well,
So it's like, okay,
ah,
then
Yeah.
resolve this by having them be together in that sense.
yeah, I
And-
think that this too. Obviously, this isn't the end of Yamada's insecurities, right? This is the first step.
No, God, no.
And I think ending on the first step is kind of good in this scenario, right? I think it's fine because it allows, like, to me, it's like you get to. It's one of those because of what it is. If it were to continue,
Yeah.
you would just
I think
be
it's
seeing the same kind of thing. I think ending on the first step is fine. And I don't think that everything like got solved. But I do think there's a lot that I think her chasing after Kase in the end, in and of itself, kind of shows a resolve to other problems. Because it's
yes.
her willing to make those changes. Right?
Yeah.
It also could bring up more problems, but they're not
Mhm.
problems that this type of thing wants to deal with. So it's like, no, they're not problems. Don't. It's like you could bring up like, it's kind of a like completely dropping your life for another person sort of
Yeah.
thing. Is like it's the thing that's always seen as like an incredibly romantic thing, but in reality, it's like, what if this doesn't work out? Like,
Right.
Yeah.
kind of fucked. And it's like, it's kind of like a lot of pressure to just drop your life for someone else like that. And
Oh,
it's like,
yeah.
these are conflicts that they could go through, but they're not going to, and it's fine that they're not going to.
Yeah, because that's definitely not the focal point of the series at all.
Yeah.
I also really like the whole thing with the garden, right? Because obviously Yamada, for those of you listening, spends all of her time, she's part of like the gardening club, right? And I think she's like the only member. And she takes care of like
Yeah.
all of these flowers by herself, like in a school like courtyard. And that's how Kase found her at first, was her taking care of the flowers. And Kase thought that that was, like, a really cool thing.
By stalking.
Yeah, and I do want to say really quick, kind of sidestep, I really liked it through the whole thing. Yamada is like, wow, Kase is, like, perfect and cool, and, like, how can I ever be, like, good for her? And then at the end you get Kase that's like, I've been watching you garden these flowers for so long and you never looked my way, but I always thought you were, like, so cool doing it. And I'm like, that's a nice little touch. But I like what the garden, like, kind of is, right? Because it's how Kase found Yamada, and it's, like, kind of where Yamada goes to, like, sulk too.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Kase, like, kind of realizes that, so she starts showing up at the flower garden and, like, she, like, helps Yamada, like, pull the weeds and stuff. And then at the end, whenever Yamada's, like, under the impression that Kase is going to be leaving, she had cleared out the courtyard because it was going to be used for the cultural festival. And obviously that's where we get the whole line where she's like, it's not the courtyard that's empty, it's me. And it makes her, like, accept,
realize,
you know. But I kind of like, I like the role that it played too. Like I said, I want this to be longer. I want to delve into these things a lot more. I'm mad that we only get, like, a surface level from this, because I want more of it. I think it could be really good. But
I think the thing to me is, like, if say this was this was just, like, the first episode or first OVA in, like, a series of ones, the ones that would come after this would be, it feels like they would be a tiny bit more, like, fast-paced, or, like, slightly different focus. Like, it would shift from solely being about her to now being about the two of them. Like, it's like, okay, so we've got this establishing thing, like, they're a fresh couple, and they're discovering, like, finishing high school and discovering what to do, and it's like, we're focusing on this one because this is the one with the mainly the one with the insecurities about it all. So it's like, okay, we move on. Like, we have the first step to resolve her insecurities, and now they're moving together to Tokyo to go to this college, essentially. And it's like, okay, it feels like from here, if it wanted to still be interesting in the way that it's trying to be interesting, I feel it would have to shift ever so slightly to focus on the both of them as main characters.
Yeah,
because it would feel like, otherwise it's like, okay, the character that they've written for the jock in this is serviceable and works for what this is, but if you're going to expand upon this, you kind of need to give her more. Because otherwise she will just she'll just become more and more like a cardboard cutout if you don't do anything more with her.
Right. See,
like, even just, like look at her side and see what her insecurities are more.
Yeah. And see, I don't want a sequel. I don't want more of this in a sense that it's, like,
no, I don't either.
What I mean is, I would want what the content that was given to us here, and probably some of the before, because I like to see the before the relationship when it comes to romances. But, at least the content given to us
it's
here.
It's about the pining.
Yeah, and I want it to be explored more, right? I want this to be longer so that it doesn't feel like it's like most of it, like a lot of it is fluff, right? I don't want it to be too much fluff. I want more, like I said, like, even just 6 episodes I think would be fine. Because this was, like, the equivalent of, like, almost 3. It's a little, normally they're like 22 minutes each.
Yeah, it was almost 3.
Yeah, this was 58 minutes, so it's almost 3. 6 episodes, maybe 12. I think if you did some of the before, you could probably do 12. And I would want to be able to, and once again, there's a manga. Luckily for me, I can read that. There is more content, but I wanted to delve more into the feelings that we saw, because I do feel like they didn't have enough time to dwell on a lot of them, right? It was just kind of like, here's an issue, and then it was like, okay, here's Yamada kind of dealing with it by ignoring it and acting like it's not an issue. And I feel like that almost doesn't come across well in this because it's so quick. I want more of that, and I feel like if you had, like, a 12 episode, you could go a little more into Kaze's character. Not that I want it to be, like, a 50-50 split, but I would like to see more of it, and more of her, like,
I think my one problem with that would be, if they did have more, I feel like they wouldn't do that. I feel like they wouldn't use that extra time to, like, expound more and give things more times to breathe and, like, think about things and plot lines and sort of their insecurities. I feel like they would just add basically more fluff and, like, maybe one or two more extra scenes about insecurities here and there, but, like, I feel like the majority of it would just be time killing fluff.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm not sure on, right? And like I said, I haven't read the manga myself or anything. So
I haven't read anything.
Yeah, so I'm not positive, like, on what really happens, like, in the manga. I don't know, like, what content it has. I'm just saying, like, what I would want from it. Like, this is the potential I'm seeing in it, and this is what I would want from it. I'm not saying that it would do that. It's just what I see that I like, right? I think I am going to check out the manga at some point to see what exactly goes on in it, because I'm not positive. But I hope it at least deals a little bit more, like, with general character rating, than the OVA got to do. Because yeah, no, I do feel like there is the potential there. Also, the art in this is beautiful, and I just like to look at it. If we're just talking about things that I like,
it is very beautiful.
Yeah.
There are specific, like, bits in this where it's like character close-ups look very nice. They're the kind of things where it's like, I'm sure some people would take GIFs of this and use it on Twitter and stuff as, like, reactions.
I'm gonna be honest. I think this would be the type of anime that, like, let's say we go back to TwitchCon Spooky and we do that thing on the beach again, and I get sad that my husband isn't there, right? I could imagine watching this to make myself feel better that my partner's not with me.
Interesting.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I can kind of see that.
Because I already have some things like that where I'm just like, I just want to watch this just to remember, you know, how much I fucking love my husband, sort of shit.
Yeah.
And I think that might fall into this sort of category just because, like, they're happy. And I'm just like, man, I should be happy. I'm in love with a fucking awesome dude and shit like that. And just, I don't know. It kind of warms my heart in, like, a real nice way.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess I should also say, I do like that they're happy, right? It's not like a drama-filled relationship where it's just, like, issue after issue that you get, I feel like, in a lot of romances where it's just, like, issue, end. Which is why I think the fluff is really important, right? Because they are happy, and you do want them to succeed, right?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, no, I agree with you there. It's like, you watch it and you're just kind of like, yeah, no, I also really love who I'm with type of feelings or whatever.
I want them to open the plane door.
Yeah. But no, yeah, I get that. And yeah, no, I agree with you. I like the happy.
Yeah, no, right. Whereas, like, again, the main reason why I, like, the main reason why this doesn't resonate with me, and the same with, like, Moe and shit, is just because I personally do not like watching stuff where the entire point of the media is, hey, these people are just happy. Let's, like, just enjoy these people being happy. Isn't it great that these people are happy?
But I don't think that's necessarily the case.
I don't like
here.
And can't stand it.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think that's the case.
Well, I don't think it's fully the case here. It rides the line for me here.
I can see that.
There's very little to grapple onto, but this definitely rides the line.
Yeah.
And is...
Yes, we know you hate being happy. We get it. It's fine.
Well, I mean, it kind of is. Like, I'm not gonna really get into why specifically. I'm not a fan of just like media where the entire point of it is watch these people being happy, because it is entirely a personal point. I'm not saying this shouldn't exist. I'm just saying, personally, I don't care to watch this sort of thing, and it's like not my thing at all. And it's like, if it's your thing, cool.
Yeah.
But I'm also going to provide my opinion on this, since we are doing a podcast on it.
That's the point.
I'll like chime in here and there with like, hey, I'll try and put myself in the perspective of like, well, if we're just doing fluff, what would we do? What would you really want? And then also on the other side of what I want, and try and blend the two.
No, I get that. That's kind of the thing with like the podcast is like we all have a different opinion about the things that we like, whereas I think I like fluff a little bit more than I used to, for example. And I think I don't know about you, Spooky, I might like fluff more than you, in a sense, in some cases.
I think...
Because I just like being brainless.
I think in some places, yeah. Because if it's like 100% fluff and there's nothing really for me to grasp onto like at all, then like definitely, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's it. Like you watch fluff and you're like, oh, this is cozy, and they're happy, and I'm happy, and
yeah.
But yeah, I like this specifically, right? Because I think this shows it. Deer's like, hey, they're happy, I'm happy, this is good, yay. And then I'm like, oh, I like that this shows some of the negative thoughts that go into like a happy relationship. And then Gamb is like, there needs to be more. And
and like when I say there needs to be more, I don't mean like there has to be some type of conflict for me to enjoy a thing. Like no, I don't need there to be conflict, but
there needs to be
it's the kind of thing
for it.
They need to do something.
Yeah.
Like even if it's like something like Isaacin, where it's like Isaacin doesn't have like conflict between characters. It's not like a stressful world-ending thing. The entire point of Isaacin is like that they are on a journey to make a thing and make things together, and it's all about their journey together and their experiences and talking to each other about it all. It's like that kind of thing I love. Things like this, where the entire point is just they're happy, experience them being happy. I'm like, okay, they're happy, but what are they doing? Like,
see, like, I still don't agree with just it's their happy, experience them being happy. But like I said, I think it's more about the idea of having a happy, perfect relationship and being in a happy relationship and still having
conflicts in it.
Those self-thoughts,
Oh, yeah, this isn't like... I mean, that's honestly... The fact that there is actually some type of substance to this is the reason why I didn't legitimately just check out and go like, they're just happy, that's it, I really don't give a shit. Like, no, there is something for me to latch onto here, but it's like... It's like someone's like fucking thrown you a chicken... like a chicken drumstick that they've already eaten. There's a little bit of meat on there, but not much. But there's something. I'm gonna eat that fucking bit of chicken.
Yeah, no, I get that. I can definitely see that. I think one of the things with me personally is whenever I watch something that's like, here's some character writing, right? And that's like the whole kind of point. The whole time in my head am kind of like trying to figure out things and filling in gaps as I go and kind of making things up in my mind, which is why character writing is so important to me, right? And why I tend to like really realistic character writing in parentheses within the means of the show. Because I think that there are characters that are very unrealistic, but within their own show are very realistic. That's a topic for another day. But I feel like the characters, at least the main character in this, right, felt pretty real to me. And it allowed me to kind of put myself into her shoes and be like, oh yeah, I felt similar things to this before. Or like, here's... Like I already said, I'm like assuming things that happen before the relationship. I'm assuming things that happen after this OVA. Like, I'm assuming things that are happening during, and assuming what characters are thinking.
I think that's kind of a bonus to it, though, just because it's such a small little tidbit that, like, you can easily put yourself there if you've ever experienced anything like it at all.
Mm-hmm.
Just because you can fill in all the spaces all you fucking want. Like,
Yeah.
I could sit there and be like, my ex-boyfriend was a druggie, and, like, I had to deal with all this shit, and then this girl came in and swooped me off my feet, or sort of thing. Like, that could be what fucking happened. We don't know. It probably didn't, but it could have.
Right. Yeah, I just like really being able, like, I just like sitting and being like, okay, let me like read into this character like way more than a
too
normal
much
watcher would. Yeah, and I love to, like, that is so much fun to me. So whenever you give me a character and it's like, this character is feeling like kind of realistic things. Because if Yamada didn't have those insecurities about her, I would not have given this even close to a 7. If she was just like actually like, I'm the happy-go-lucky one, and that was like it, and it was just like, here's them being cute and doing things, yes. It definitely, even if it would have been, here's them being cute and doing things, oh, suddenly one of them might go away to college, how are they going to deal with this? I would not have been into this. But the fact that they set up Yamada prior to being like, here's her insecurities that she kind of has to get over, is what made me like this more, because I was like, oh, okay, I can kind of assume how she's feeling and what her thought process is. But yeah. Do you guys want to give your scores, or do you have more thoughts?
I'm gay.
One final thought from me, and then that's completely it. Book closed. Next chapter. Avita Zen. Goodbye. Is just this. The one thing to me is just that there is a sense of realism to these characters, but they're not. I wouldn't say they're fully realistic characters. They are realistic to a point, and then it's like, because if they were fully realistic, this kind of story wouldn't really be told in this sort of way. It would be a little bit more conflict.
Well, I think that's something you could go more into if we had more time with it, though, too. Which is kind of
well, yeah, but that's the thing. They could, but it's the kind of thing of me of like, they're realistic to a point, and then from there, the fluff fills in. It's like it's like the sort of thing of like, you could pick apart this and like absolutely start to dislike or feel like not able to relate to these characters very easily by, doing something like, how is this one girl able to live in this small apartment by herself? Like, oh, her parents pay for it? Okay, so they're pretty well off, and it's like how what do her parents think about her just running away? Like, you could how would her parents react? Would she tell her parents? Like, would she think about her parents while she's doing this? And it's like the sort of thing where the show, the OVA essentially just goes, we're not talking about that.
I don't think that's important to talk about within the scope of the series, though.
The other
That's
thing,
what I'm saying.
The other thing is she's only going to Tokyo for one day and then coming back because she's taking her test, right?
Yeah.
So she just decides to go with her for whatever reason. They're gonna come back and then they can talk to her parents about everything. Like, that's not too much of an issue.
Well, yeah, but I mean, that's kind of not what's implied by the ending. It's not, like, implied, like, oh, she's going to go to Tokyo with her and then come back and talk to their parents. It's kind of implied, like, she's going to go with Tokyo with her. And it's like, that's what I'm saying. Like, the series is constrained, and it's perfectly fine that it's constrained, because it's like, otherwise it would be tonally all over the place of like, wow, there's this really fluffy bit, and then it's like, oh, there's this really fluffy, cute ending with, like, a weird sour note to it for no reason whatsoever.
Yeah.
Like, it would be fucking weird. I'm saying, like, that's why I say, like, the characters are real to a point, because the series isn't about them being completely real. It's about them being real for the story that it is.
Right. And I think, I mean, that's just smart writing, though. You don't...
Yes.
I don't know. I guess I don't fully see your point. Because it's like...
Well, I'm just saying, like, I don't see these characters as fully realistic.
I mean...
Like what you guys are saying.
They're feelings and, like, events they're going through that pertain to the story are realistic, I don't think you need to worry about the other things, right? That's just... It's just, like, cutting off the fat. It's like, if this specific point doesn't matter to the series...
Yes, which dials down the realism of the characters to a degree. Like, not a major degree, but to a degree. Like, cutting out things of, like, wouldn't you, like, think about this? Like, wouldn't you, like, maybe take this into effect? It's like, that the show's not about this. We're cutting that out. Like, it's about the fluff.
It's about them, right. I mean, I think that's just the realm of fiction in general, right? I don't think that has much to do with this specifically.
Yeah.
I think that's just kind of like a side effect of it being fiction in some way.
Well, I wouldn't say inherently fiction, but I feel like we're getting muddled within the point, so we'll just move on.
Okay.
It's fine.
I'm gonna say a 0, not because I hate it, just because I don't want to watch it ever again.
Okay.
Honestly, I'm like it at 8. I think I like it a little bit more than you, Spooky. Just because, like I said, it makes me warm and fuzzy in ways that I want.
Yeah, no, I think that makes sense. I think that makes total sense. But yeah, that's Kase-San and Morning Glories.
Wow. That was
What's
sure
the
an
story,
anime.
Morning Glories? I did it. I made an Oasis joke.
Yay, Oasis jokes. Okay, we'll see you next time when we all don't show up and it's just an hour of silence for the discussion. Goodbye, everybody.
All the people
Goodbye.
right now. Do you know what I mean? That's an Oasis song from the album that ruined them. Thank you.
Okay, goodbye.
Tune in next week to when this podcast turns into an Oasis podcast. We'll have Liam and Noel Gallagher on. It'll be 2 hours of them arguing.
And then
So basically business as usual.
Yeah, fine text. None of this is true. Don't sue us. Okay, bye.
Bye.
Please sue us.